Good morning. Today is the last day of August, the 30th of August, and I'm going to go through my trading plan today. As always, before we start, we're just going to take a look at today's news to see what could have moved or what could move the market. We had PCE come in and not much of an effect really. Hang on, let's go to the hourly. Yeah, wasn't a big move really. It was almost where we are, a little bit negative. And we got PMI coming in at 9:45, so that could move the market just after the open, so be wary. And we've got consumer sentiment at 10 as well, so 2 times today to watch for, and then that's it really for today, and that ends the news for August. So on my screen we're looking at the ES. This is the 1 hour time frame for the S&P E-mini futures. As you can see, just open up my pen, as you can see, we've been in this range for some time now, going back to 19th of August, and we did attempt to break out of it on Wednesday, and now we're stuck back in it again. Yesterday we went to the very top end of that range, 56.61, and a big rejection down. So based on that, I've got a few levels I'm watching. I'm watching this area up here for a rejection. That's 56.61, 56.62. You can see every time we've been there, big rejection. Been there, big rejection. Yesterday, big rejection. So I'm watching that area. That's my key area today for a rejection. If we continue with the trend and we don't reject it and we push through, then I'll be looking for a potential pullback into that area for the bounce to continue the trend and to break out of this range. You can see we've been in this range for some time. All-time highs are not far off. Let's just put in that, so we've got a level 5700 psychological number as well. We can keep an eye on that for a potential rejection, but we're a bit way off from there at the moment. Other bounce areas I'm watching will be the bottom of this range as well, and so I'll be looking for a bounce in this region. It's a big area, massive area, so if I had to narrow it down, I'd quite like this area within there, 55.80, but I'll be watching for a break of trend and then a reversal. And when I'm looking for a break of trend, I'm looking for something like this coming down into the area I'm watching, and then maybe it comes out, so it breaks the trend, comes back in, retests, and then that's when I want to try and find the bounce long back up. So that's kind of what I'm looking for when we get down to that, and because it's such a wide area, then need to wait for the trend to break and confirmation. So just confirm that is 55.60 up to 55.80 area. I'm watching for a bounce. And then pre-market high, we are going to be going long. If we do get above pre-market high, it's into this volume as well. So it's going to be hard to get through. You know, we got through it yesterday, so any volume that was there previously potentially is gone. But we have this big sell-off, so potentially we could see more orders lined up back on that area. But I'll be watching for a break and retest of pre-market high, and potentially a break and retest of the pre-market low short as well. So I'm watching those 2 levels, and that's it. It's a holiday weekend as well, so volume may be a lot less than usual, and because there's no market open, or no stocks market open on Monday. Futures I think are open, but they close early. Okay, looking at SPY next. Almost the same as ES, we're watching for this area here for the rejection, 563.68 area. Watching this area down here, there's a bit more of a defined area than ES for a bounce, 555. And then we can potentially watch for break and retest of pre-market high and potentially pre-market low as well, and that's around 560 for the pre-market low and 561.60 for pre-market high, and that's it for them. SPX levels are pretty much the same as before. We've got this area here we've yet to break through. We've got this area we've yet to break down from, This area is a bit more defined as well than the SPY and ES. Big area of confluence coming all the way into these couple areas where it bounced. So it'd be interesting to see whether, if I'm knocking down at the door down at 55.63, whether we are going to bounce again or finally we're going to break down through it. So if I'm looking to get into any trades on ES, I'll be watching SPX carefully, and if I'm looking for a bounce, I want SPX to be above those pivots, not below it, because then that's a break and retest short. And if I'm looking for a rejection on ES, then I don't want SPX to be above this region. It's got to be behind. It's got to line up together. NQ next. NQ is looking a little bit more bearish. We can draw that trend line in. We have broken it. So yesterday we pushed through it and big rejection down. We're back up into that area now. We could say we are technically above this trend line, so we could look for longs over pre-market high. Bear in mind we've got this 200 moving average, this purple line, and it seems to be pretty much key to the Nasdaq. You can see we bounced off it there. We held it there, or rejected it again, and then we rejected it again. So potentially we can watch yesterday's high for the rejection, a bit like ES, or if we get above this region we can watch for longs. I do quite like yesterday's high, which is 19,700 rejection. This area here, purely based on previous areas of confluence and the fact that it's just below the 200. And then for bounce wise, does this area line up? It pretty much does. So we can watch this area here for a bounce, and that is around 19,200 and 19,166. Again, break and retest of pre-market high and pre-market low is possible, but just be wary. We are coming long into a lot of volume. You can see the point of control and this volume shelf, which is immediately above where we are right now, so it might be hard trying to get through that. So really prefer the break and retest of yesterday's high, which will make it above the 200 moving average, above the trend line, and also above the point of control and all this volume as well. So that's the better, higher probability long. Potentially that's the rejection there as well, 19,700. QQQ, same. Let's just draw the trend line in, so we've got a reference. If we get above yesterday's high, we can watch for long into the next levels up. And that is at 477, 478 area. Otherwise, I like the bounce down in this region, and it's a region because it's this area here, and that's 467.50 down to 465, and then potentially we can watch for the break and retest over pre-market high. But I like the break and retest over yesterday's high the most. And then we've got our rejection area up here at 482.50. Oil, this is crude oil. Just noticed a big sell-off in the last few minutes. One second, let's just zoom out a bit. We can draw that line in there. We've got a, let's make it a bit clearer. So we've got that little tiny trend there within the bigger daily trend, big wedge pattern. You know, we've been holding this wedge. That's a bit of a big one. So kind of looking for a rejection around that area and a bounce around this area. Consider a bounce here as well. If I was to find a play today, this seems like a 47, 77, 46, 77, 45 for the rejection, and then I quite like the bounce in this region. In fact, the pre-market low's gone right through that area. 47, 57 for the bounce, pretty much where we are now. So I'm not sure whether news caused that. Let's have a look. Canadian GDP. I'm not sure if that's related, but anyway, big negative move, bringing it back a bit. But I think the best area will be the bottom of this 72.80 for the bounce, and that'll be off this trend line. But right in the middle, it's really hard to make any trades while we're sitting here. We really want to see it bounce up, break and retest long out of this, or the break and retest short out of this area as well. So not really going to be watching oil that much today. Gold is looking good for a breakout. We've got this narrowing, this pattern setting up, and considering we've already broken this big wedge pattern, the daily wedge, so we broke out, came back, retested, and now we're putting in this second wedge pattern. So it's either going to do one of two things. As we narrow down, it's going to break out, retest, and look for long. So I do like 25.60 break and retest where my alert is, or we're going to lose pre-market low, yesterday low, and come back down. So I'm watching yesterday's low, pre-market low at 25.45 for the break and retest short. And that's the only plays I'm watching. Nothing in between. Just put an alert in for below here as well. Next is RTY, which is the Russell 2000. It's looking pretty bullish still. Got this trend line. Let's draw this trend line in. And I know Russell 2000 is a good stock. It seems to, on the trend lines, you can see we were holding this trend line for some time, and then we started to see it curve around, broke out, came back, retested it. Now we're putting in this new trend line. We should get rid of those old ones. So I quite like the pullback to yesterday's low for the long for trend continuation, or the break and retest of pre-market high for trend continuation. The break and retest, that's the only two players. I don't really fancy any rejections until we get up into this region where the point of control is. Potentially that area there, which is around 22.50 for the rejection. Let's just put that in. But it's not an area, you know, I want to go with the trend. And that's it for that. Really waiting for the, and obviously if we pull back down into this 21.88 area, the tops of here, the retest, look for a double bottom. We've already retested it once, great break and retest, that's why we logged it there, that's why we've drawn the line in. Area of confidence as well, so I'm kind of, I will be watching that 21.88 for the bounce as well, so let's put an alert in there so I'm aware of it. And then YM, this is the Dow Jones, again looking pretty bullish. Did it put in a new all-time high? Is that all-time highs? I believe it is. 41.672, 41.682, so put in a new all-time high yesterday. So like this for a long. Let's just see if we can find. Yeah, break and retest a pre-market high, 41.561. Otherwise, we can wait for it to pull back into this region. You can see there's a volume shelf there as well. So the bounce around 41.286 up to 41.37. This area for the bounce, and it's above all the moving averages, breaking, making new all-time highs. So I'm not looking for any shorts. And finally, Bitcoin. We'll look at go back to ES and look at the order flow in a second. Bitcoin doing exactly as it has been doing the last few days, just going sideways. Nothing really to see or do here other than wait. I think if it gets back down to the 50,000 area, let me just put my alert in there, because it might get there at the weekend. Then we can, well, I might be looking to add to my position. We are putting in a bit of a bear flag, down move, coming back up, so potentially, and it's broken, it did break that flag, but nothing really. I think this is the area to watch, 53 down to 50 for a bounce, and then if we can break out of this wedge pattern, then over 66. Okay, that's it really. Back to ES and just quickly review order flow. So on my screen you've got the order flow, and there was a question yesterday. Someone asked me what was the, let's make it bigger, what was the minimum and maximum delta, how was that significant? And I watch this when I'm coming to reversals. For example, hit on this last candle, let's find, say this candle here, big green bullish candle, we've got a minimum delta of 1, positive 1, and a maximum delta of 320, and that means to me on a green candle that looks like trend continuation. It didn't go down into the negative, so there was no negative selling in that candle, even though there was aggressive selling in that candle. Overall there was no aggressive selling, and that is a bullish candle backed up by it being green, and you can see the reversal down here. See an example of a negative. Here we go. So this candle here, 844, this one, it's a red candle. We had 127 aggressive selling, so there's more aggressive selling in there, only went up to 28, so that was like an imbalance of sellers over buyers, and you can see that's what caused it to go down. And then we got very negative minimum maximum deltas there, so never ever got green. Maybe this is a sign that there's a reversal coming. You know, we opened, pushed up, that must have been a reversal, and then come back down again, closed there. So then we had a little bit of a push. So you can use that as there's some buyers interested in that area, and then the sellers won again, and you can see the buyers are interested again in this area. So this is a good one because this is a negative green candle. Sorry, a red candle. You know, it looks really negative, and if you look at that without order flow, you think that's a negative, that's a selling candle. But look, the difference, this is where reversals, we've got a positive delta on a red candle, so that's an anomaly. We've got minus 44 for the aggressive sellers, but we've got a massive positive buying imbalance and aggressive buying on a red candle. So that is what I'll be looking for on a reversal. And lo and behold, a few candles later, it's reversing. So that's kind of how I look at minimum and maximum delta. So they are there and they're good to look at. And I look at delta at the same time, and then on my other chart I'm looking at cumulative delta divergences as well. So around that area you can see a divergence as well. So let's just find that candle again, 902, and then come down here to 902. We've got a bit of a bounce. Oh no, it's about the same. There's no real, no. When I'm looking for divergences, I'm looking for something like that. So they're both going in the same direction. It's broken out. This all looks normal, what you expect. Like I said, probably lower volume today is not going to help. But that's how I look at. That's what I use minimum maximum delta for. It's just another clue on a reversal. And I play change of trend, break of trends, and reversals, and bounces and rejections. So it's kind of one of the areas I'm looking at. Good question. There's nothing really to see here. I think yesterday I did okay on one of my trade yesterday. I went long yesterday, and I think if you remember in the video I said there's a area you can use as a stop, and when the market was running it didn't come past that area, so it acted as a bounce area in the end, and that's where I got in long and did okay from it. But I can't see anything that stands out. Obviously quite a lot of negative selling here, and you've got a negative candle here on a green, negative delta I meant, on a green candle. But you know, this is pre-market, so not really something I'm paying attention. It's not near the levels I'm watching as well. So let's just quickly recap the levels. We've got 10 minutes before the market opens. We're right in between levels, so there's nothing I'll be looking at on order flow, which I want to be looking at. So let's go back to my main screen. So just to recap, levels on ES. I'm looking for the rejection up here. You can see we've rejected it successfully several times before, 1, 2, 3 times. Massive rejections down as well. So I quite like that for the rejection. 56.61. I like the bounce down in this region, 55.80 area. It's an area. If I had to pick an area, probably at 55.77. And then I look for the break and retest a pre-market high, long, and pre-market low, short. But I'll also consider a rejection at these areas as well, but only because the pre-market high is right on the point of control as well. So I'll look for a potential rejection there, and it's got to break the trend and then have like a double top or some sort of reversal pattern. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll be back. I won't be back Monday because Monday the market's closed. I'm taking a day off, but I will be back on Tuesday. Okay, have a nice